if we're healthy, Sabrina, Stewie, Jonquel, we know our big three. We added Natasha Cloud, might not have Naj, but we still have Phoebich. Marina Johannes is coming back. Niara Sabali is part of our team who really came on late last year, and she could take on an increased role. I think their depth is still there. I think they've got enough on both ends to confidently say they could repeat as champions.
They just put an absolute beat down on the Chicago Sky last night. Broke their own WNBA record for most threes in a single game with 19, which is also their franchise record, obviously, now. You take a look at this New York Liberty team. It seems like they're clicking on all cylinders. This was your take, so I'm going to let you get the first word here. How dominant do you expect the New York Liberty to be this season?
So I was even looking at their upcoming schedule, and there's a chance they don't lose a game for some time. Their next 8 to 10 games or so, their next game is at Indiana, which is going to be a great game. That's on Saturday. That's tomorrow afternoon. Great test for Indiana, obviously. Great measuring stick moment for New York to show hey, we are better than everybody, including you guys. After Indiana, they've got the Valkyries twice at home. Then they're at the Mystics, at home versus Connecticut, back at the Mystics, at home versus Chicago, another one at Indiana, and then at home against Atlanta. So out of all those games, Indiana is going to give them the best test. And, Indiana's looking good, looking a little better. I don't know if they're going to, I just think New York is that much better than everybody else. You mentioned the fact that they hit 19 threes in their game last night, broke their own record. 4 of those came off the bench from Kennedy Burke, who is starting to become, not having Benijah Laney Hamilton sucks because we know how critical she's been to that team, especially that starting unit. But as I mentioned in the clip, their depth, when you have this kind of depth, it makes up for losing not having one of your starters. Marine Johannes is back. Niara Sabali off the bench. Kennedy Burke hit all 4 of her 3-point attempts in the game last night. She's 4 for 4 coming off the bench. So they're finding players that they can plug in that work in their system. And I think their depth is too much for anybody. Starting with their big 3, Sabrina, Stewie, and Jonquel. I told you how I squarely need to have Jonquel Jones in my top 5. When we did our top 10s a couple weeks ago before the season started, I had Jonquel, I'm pretty sure, at 6, right outside the top 5. Yeah. Watching the first game of the season just brought me right back to the finals, brought me right back to, okay. And of course, again, I have Jonquel in my top 10. She was number 6, but even just watching that game reminded me Jonquel Jones is a top 5 player because, Marcus, I'm gonna say this. I think that Jonquel Jones is the biggest matchup advantage in the league at 6'6". Her combination of size and strength, and then the way she shoots the ball. She shot 3 for 4 from 3 last night. So you can't stop her inside. You've got to close out to her outside. She can put it on the floor, not too much side to side wiggle stuff, but she can put it on the deck. She makes passing reads. So, and this is, we're going all the way back to when they first put this big 3 together. And I said, they're going to win titles. They're going to win a championship, whether this year, next year, or whenever. They're going to win. The combination of Sab, Stewie, and Jonquel, man, the Liberty, they have what they need. Last night, Marcus, they shot 55, 55, 94. 55 from the field, 55 from 3, 94 from the free throw line. And their starters only played 20. No starter played any more than 27 minutes. I just think it's too much, man. I don't think anyone has anything for them. If they stay healthy, I think this is might be one of the more dominant seasons maybe ever.
I agree. And again, this is, I was right, bro. As soon as the season was over, I said it, Jonquel Jones, top 5. She's 4th on my list. And we love Stewie. Stewie's great. Stewie's a legend, Hall of Famer. Maybe she's on the Mount Rushmore. I don't know. Jonquel Jones keep playing the way she's playing basketball. We might need to talk about what that top 3 really looks like. I don't know. I'm just saying, because she's been playing really good. I mean, when you think about a lot of because I'm thinking back now to when we were talking about in the finals, right? And you're talking about, what does the Liberty do when certain play? It's like every time Jonquel Jones gets a double-double, I think since she's been in New York, the Liberty win the basketball game. I think they've probably lost maybe 1 or 2 times, maybe. I don't have but Jonquel Jones double-double, they win the game.
Yeah.
If it's a 2010 double-double, you can forget about it. Like, that's how impactful Jonquel Jones is offensively and defensively. So, like, I don't know. I'm not saying she is, but I'm saying, depending on how the season pans out, maybe Jonquel Jones might play herself into the top 3. But, and I said this to you whilst watching the Aces get destroyed on the first game of the season last Saturday. The key for them is going to be Natasha Cloud. Now, what I will say is, with all the good that Natasha Cloud is going to bring, the energy, the ability to facilitate, the defense, I already tweeted that she's going to be an all-league defender again this season. I can see it. Writing's on the wall. Like, that's unmatched. The interesting thing for me, and we've talked about it, is how Sabrina Ionescu is going to be able to adjust, because she's not playing on the ball as much as she was beforehand. And that's, again, the price you pay when you bring in a player like Natasha Cloud. You want her on the ball. You want her facilitating. And I think as the season goes on, Sabrina will adjust, and we'll get to see Sabrina be a little bit better, and the shooting splits will be better. But that is something I'm going to be paying attention to, because, and maybe they'll be just so good where it won't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know for like, last season, Sabrina Ionescu, she needed to be great, and she really, really good in really big moments for the Liberty to win a championship. And she got right, game winner in game 3, really shots in big moments throughout the course of the season. She was an MVP candidate at some point, finished top 4, top 5 in voting, something like that. Now that you have Natasha Cloud there, obviously, again, her usage rate for all the advanced stats people, like her on ball, percentage, it's going to drop. I'm interested to see if that will affect how effective they can be in certain moments, like, because Sabrina was that big shot hitter for them down the stretch of some games last season.
Yeah.
And it seems like so far she hasn't fully, and obviously we're 2 games in the season for them, so she hasn't fully gotten adjusted to this new reality where she's not on the ball as much. I really, really hope that adjustment period doesn't come at the cost of dominance for the New York Liberty. And like, maybe it won't, because again, this is a perfect backcourt in the sense that Sabrina Ionescu can't play a lick of defense. And, Natasha Cloud's an all-league defender, right? Natasha Cloud, not nearly the shooter that Sabrina Ionescu is. And Sabrina Ionescu is one of the best shooters in the league, right? So it's a perfect tandem in that regard.
Yeah.
But when I think back to who Sabrina was last season, the confidence that she exuded on the basketball court, the willingness to put up shots even when they weren't falling, I just wonder if her shot attempts are taking a downtick because she's not on the ball as much. And now that Johannes is back, and so the ball is being spread around a little bit more, I just really hope that any fallback we see on Sabrina's productivity doesn't cost the New York Liberty their dominance, right? Because I agree with you. I think the New York Liberty can have one of the greatest seasons we've seen in the history of the league, right? You listed that stretch. They'll probably have a stretch similar to what the Aces had in 2022 with Candace Parker, when they rattled off all those wins, and won the most games without a loss, I think it was, ever in the history. Like, the Liberty are looking like they can be on that trajectory. I'm just really interested to see how the Sabrina Ionescu component of this is going to affect that at all, because she's really the one who is impacted the most in a negative way by Natasha Cloud's presence. Obviously, she benefits from it as well, again, defensively, but offensively, there's a bit that she needs to need to figure out. So that's one thing when I watch them, I'm definitely looking for, is to figure out how that all shakes out.
Well, I think that's fair and really interesting and well said, because we talked about the point guard thing before. Like, now Sabrina is squarely more of a shooting guard. She's going to get a lot more time just as a real shooting guard, which shooting is really her thing, as opposed to, like, she's gotten better going off the dribble, gotten better with playmaking and stuff. She can do that, but we know her as a shooter. And I don't think having Natasha Cloud is going to relegate her to just being a shooter and just running off screens and catch and shoot. She's still going to have to go off the dribble and make plays. Teams will make sure of that. And she's going to have to still be embracing that for the Liberty to still be humming and looking the way they need to look. But I think for me, what will happen is, I don't think the team will take a hit. Like you said, like, I don't know. I think it's only going to help the Liberty in terms of their record, in terms of them beating up on other teams, because it's just added to their depth and their ability. But individually, like, by the end of the season, maybe Sabrina works her way out of the top 10, honestly, because her volume is down, because she's not having to be like, she'll still have to hit big shots and stuff. But like last season, we knew she really had to be great. It really had to be a solidified top 10 player for that Liberty team to really get over the hump. And she did it. And she's still got to be great in moments. But when you add depth, when you add a guard that can make up for the things that you don't do as well, and now you don't have to do as much playmaking, as much shot making, naturally her volume will be down, and it might result in her not being viewed as much as like a top 10 player, but her team might win again. So you might sacrifice a little individual glory and accolades and numbers for continued team success. I think that's, for me, I think that's how I see it happening, because the team is just so strong. And now she can more so pick her spots and not have to be bringing the ball up, coming up, really running the team anymore. There's so much pressure off her now. But I think that's valid, because again, they're going to still need her in big moments. And I think last year, with the ball in her hands a lot more as the lead guard, when you just have the ball in your, that you're just more confident. The ball's in your hands. You're ready to take certain shots more. You're just used to, more comfortable with the ball literally in your hands. And when it's not in your hands as much, and you're not handling it and bringing it up, and you don't feel as connected to it when it is time to take those shots, it's kind of like what I would talk about with people like Kelsey Plum on Vegas, and like scorers that are on teams that have other good players, like Mylasia Fulwiley on South Carolina. Like, you only get 9-10 shots, but like, you're such a great scorer, but we're not giving you enough chances. So then those 8 to 10 shots you get become highly pressurized, because then it's like, well, I gotta hit. I gotta make shot. I gotta be super efficient, because I'm only going to get so many shots.
Yeah.
So I think Sabrina can do really well in that role, because she is a high level shooter and high level morale player, like not gonna like get down on herself or think less of herself just because she's not the lead guard anymore. She's still going to be bought in and locked in. So I think she'll do fine with it. But I think that's a fair point to bring up, because she still has to be really good to great in moments.
Now, I mean, I will say this: there are benefits. Again, like I said, with Natasha Cloud on the floor, I don't think Sabrina Ionescu logged a minute in the fourth quarter of the game against the Aces. Now, that partially could have been because they were up so much, but when the Aces did make a run eventually there, and then Natasha Cloud took over, like that is something that now that Natasha Cloud is on the team, you don't have to risk Sabrina being out there getting headhunted in tight games like that. So you take that, but at the same time, she had 8 points. She was 3 from 12 from the field in that game, and if you take
And
back a
and
look,
and to, sorry to cut you off, but for her to be able to do that, and they still beat
and they still win,
Vegas
and
by that much.
right. And so that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
it might not affect, the New York, their ability in the grand scheme of things to still dominate and win a championship. But in games like that, when it does come down to the wire, yeah, it was great for game one, but the aces that they run into eventually in a couple months, should they match up in the playoffs, isn't the aces that they saw first afternoon of the season. So how does that translate when they might need Stewie might be having an off night, Jonquel Jones might be having an off night, but like, and we saw last season Stewie's having an off night, Jonquel might have been having an off night. Sabrina Ionescu took over and said, I'm gonna get us this win, and we've seen that. If she's not on the ball as much, I wonder how many of those moments she'll miss instead of make compared to last season.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think it'll be a massive ding on their ability to win a championship, to be dominant, but she's coming off a year where she was 18, 4, and 6 last season, I believe. And she shot like 30 something percent from field, or 30% from three, 40 something percent from deep, or from the field. Like, she had the best season of her career, as we've talked about on the show. Reality is a little bit different now for Sabrina Ionescu, and with not as many shots that she's taking, I just hope it doesn't affect her ability to still be impactful when she absolutely needs to. Because there's going to be games, despite all the talent, there's going to be games where the only person that might be able to save them is Sabrina.
For sure. And I will say, Natasha Cloud, with her instincts as a point guard and as a teammate, I think she will take it upon herself to make sure that she will keep Sabrina hot and keep getting her going when they need her to get going. That's the kind of
Yeah.
point guard and teammate that she is.